Come on, not all of you. How many of you have used the periodic chart? So that was, the periodic chart was created by a scientist named Zaelab. And he was one of the people, scientists, that helped to drive the formation of Kyiv Polytech University in Ukraine. So there's people like Mendeleev, like Sikorsky, people that Roman talked about earlier in his presentation. That's the sort of heritage that has gone into what you see coming out of Ukraine. So what we have today is a group of companies who are working on digital product innovation. And so what we're going to do in this panel is hear them talk and tell us about some of the ways that they're innovating for products and some of the things that are coming out of this rich heritage that Ukraine has. So what I'd like to do right now is have each of the speakers give a 1-minute talk about their company, and also, if possible, give an example of some of the really cool things they've developed in the recent past year or so. So, Markiyan, would you start?
Thank you. So my name is Markiyan. I'm from Ukraine, from Western Ukraine, Lviv, the best city in Ukraine. Yeah, sure. I work for a company called ELEKS. It's an engineering and consulting company doing mobility, data science, digital, all kinds of software engineering, quality assurance, and product development. I'm responsible for the mobility and wearables part, this and this and this. So I'm the product manager of this stream. Probably the most interesting things we've done recently in the last year was Google Glass and wearables projects, like 7 of them, not all of them successful, but very, very interesting and disrupting in a few ways. For example, in a warehouse, the things like this in a warehouse help saving like twice as time pretty cheaply in unloading or managing all the routine. So that's really interesting kind of stuff.
Markiyan, so did I understand you right? Your company helped work on Google Glass?
No, we use Google Glass to help businesses solve their problems.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you.
I'm Klein. I'm the founder of a company called Zaelab. We're based out of New York City, and we are a digital commerce consulting company. So we work with retailers, B2B companies, pretty much any company that is transacting online, and we help implement scalable platforms that help those companies be on any channel that their customers at. Obviously, with all these new channels, Internet of Things, mobile, desktop, in-store, it's very important that you have a scalable platform at the focal point of that. And so one of the recent innovations we've been working pretty hard on a mobile commerce integration platform that really enables retailers to focus on building the front-end user experiences as opposed to getting bogged down in the back-end and back-office integration, which is ultimately necessary for a good commerce experience.
Hi there, my name is Jenkins. I work for a company called Grid Dynamics. Grid Dynamics are a software development company. We specialize in solutions to primarily the tier 1 retailers. So a little bit like Evan here, working on moving e-commerce from a static website into a mobile platform. We actually work a lot on the back-end stuff, so we have quite complementary services that we offer now. We have a large office in Kharkov, and in Ukraine, and some fantastic engineering resources there. So that's me.
So Sam, I heard you talk earlier. So it sounds like you guys have some awesome stuff.
I apologize.
That's all right.
So yeah, so thanks for inviting us, of course. We're losing some people. Try to get more people coming here. I think they're getting coffee or something. But anyway, I'm Sam, CTO for EPAM Systems. Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. And what we do is we do engineering services for our customers, mostly in one of the 5 key verticals. High tech, people like Oracle and SAP, we build products for them. And then e-commerce, travel and hospitality, media entertainment, and then now we're getting into healthcare and also financial, which is a very fast-growing sector of ours as well. So we try to help them build what we say is the differentiator, if you will, which is, as we say, software is a brand, if you will. we try to help them reach their customers faster, better, and get their top line, and also to streamline their back end as well, so that they get a holistic, end-to-end view of what's best for them and how to actually move on to be a more responsive business. And I haven't had a talk about responsive business and analytics, by the way, coming up. So, but thanks for inviting us.
Excellent, thank you. So one of the things is you guys might all be wondering is this panel's about digital product innovation. But what we actually have here are 4 services companies. So a really important question is, a big part of developing products is actually the design and the product management. And a lot of outsourcing companies around the world, what you do is the client company develops the product, develops the outline, and then gives it to the outsourcing company to simply build the product. So these 4 companies are involved in products, and one of the things that I'd like to ask them to do is answer the question, do they define the product, or do their clients define the product? So maybe, Markiyan, you can start with that?
I think it can only be both. So only together, in Breaking Bad, Heisenberg said, the business, I know the chemistry, let's do it. So it's the same. So the client knows the business, we know the technology. And when we combine these 2 parts, knowledge of the area and the technology, we get the best result. And the more important thing is that the team which is working on product, as on the previous panel was said, they feel as much accountable for the result and responsible, and they feel this co-ownership, that they just cannot do bad things. They will argue with the customer on the decisions, they will argue on how to form the product, and they will make the best decision, make the best product. They don't want to do bad product. They want to be the best. They want to solve complex problems, and they want to do a nice product. And I think this is a very important part. So it's only both the client who has the vision of the business problem, the potential solution, and the team who's actually developing it. And the good example here is recently we had a customer who wanted to make his consumer product, I can name it because it's confidential, he wanted to make his consumer product to be first of its kind on Google Glass. And we said, wow, this is very nice, we love Google Glass, but it's just not going to work, because Google Glass is not going to be a consumer product soon enough. And why don't you make the app for smartwatches? They're getting big now. And he said, wow, that's really, really nice idea, maybe we'll be first on the Apple Watch release and so on and so forth. So this is how it goes, people argue and find a solution together. Yeah.
So are you saying it's a Ukrainian skill to be able to fight?
Yes.
Can I add 1 line to that?
Okay.
Is that okay? Can I add 1 line to that very quickly?
Yeah.
I just want to totally, 100%, as we said before in the last session, it's not the same when you hear outsourcing, I want to make sure we understand, it's really that partnership. So innovation does not come in a vacuum. It doesn't come in an empty room and then somehow you throw the idea out and then somebody will build it. It doesn't work that way. Every developer here could actually tell you that. It comes in through an exchange, through a partnership, through a period of time, and this is what you're going to get from the region, right? This is what you're going to get. It's not the outsourcing type that you say, throw it, don't work, somebody else can handle it. It's the one that you said, you've got an idea. The idea has to come from you, there's no question about it, the original idea. But then, who can I actually sit down with to brainstorm that idea, build that idea, extend that idea into something that's much more than what it was originally, and much more applicable to the customer. And that's the kind of relationship that's looking.
Totally agree. So it's not just about selling people, like slavery was cancelled long ago, and it's about cooperation, the spirit, and the goals, values, so yeah.
And I think also, just going back to your point about product, certainly in the area that we're working with large problems, and these guys are not technology, they're retailers, they're very good at it, and they have business problems, and they see opportunity in market, and they're not technologists. And no one product is ever going to solve any of their issues. So it's very much about architecting the solution, bringing together a number of different products to deliver the business value, and that's where the Ukrainian skill set is very good.
So Sam, it sounds like you've built a lot of product. Can you give us an example of a process of how you work with the customer to develop the product and build it, and maybe a specific example would be very helpful.
Sure. So I spent 25, so services for me is still fairly new. I've only been doing that for the last 4 to 5 years. I've done 25 years of product development. And the amazing thing, it's an eye-opener that I think the whole world is changing, I think, around software development is not the old world anymore, where the process includes, product inception, which is how do you actually come up with an idea to actually turn into like jam session, like, application development, rapid, how do you actually jointly develop application, jazz session to design it together and things like that, where we would sit down with a customer, bring in our experts, whether it's architect, product managers, and program managers, and then we bring in engineers as well. They bring it jointly together to actually come up with ideas and work with them and build it. Or it could be that, they actually have, certain backlog. We start working on a backlog, but after we finish the first set of minimal viable product, then we go through the next phase of innovation. Then we work together, new ideas come up, like the last session we talked about, where, very, very strong, it's in nature of the whole region that they would ask good questions, right? So the engineers would start asking you wonderful questions from that region, and they would basically come back and really ask you to think about exactly what you're trying to do. That's when the balls start to roll. But things like, distributed agile, we have our own practice called practical agile. That's basically allowed us to actually have an agile mentality that works together, focus on outcome, how you actually result-oriented, and then work within the team, multifunctional members within the team, work together to build that product. But it's, as I said in the last session, it's very important to have that joint sense of ownership, because they will feel like it's part of your team, work with them as part of your team, and you can build a wonderful product. But it starts with the inception part, it starts with actually working within your sprints, to actually delivering, obviously, with the testing, automation, your DevOps, to actually build up your infrastructure. The infrastructure is absolutely key. And then you actually have your site ops to actually deliver it, then to monitor your customers, how they're actually using it, come back in that full cycle loop. That's what we're involved in. That's how we work with our customers every time. That's how we see our customer win. When our customer win, our team feels like they're winning.
Great, thanks, Sam. So, something that we see a lot of when we talk about digital products is everything's at the higher levels. It's all at the application level. And one of the big questions is do you guys see innovation at more the infrastructure level, and is it needed? Evan, I think you have some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I do. So I think, for the last 10 years, and this is not just digital commerce, this is really any space, companies and brands have to worry about being on one or maybe two channels, the web and, maybe mobile. And what's happening now with the prevalence of all these new devices, all of these new channels, I think companies are being forced to go back to their infrastructures and go back to the platforms and really figure out if they have a scalable enough, services-based platform that can serve, an ever-increasing number of devices and channels. So, yes, companies are absolutely having to go back to their core infrastructures and figure out how to modernize them to meet the demands of the customer.
Do you have an example?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about mobile commerce, right? There's a number of mobile commerce solutions out there that are really just glorified websites within mobile apps, right? And that's just a byproduct of not having a solid integration strategy to your back-end commerce platforms. And so consumer experience, customer experience ends up suffering, and I'm sure everyone in this room has seen that. And since we're all technologists, we know why, but from your average customer, they don't pick up on the fact that the user experience is actually related to the fact that an organization might not have the core services, the core infrastructure to support the experiences that we've come to expect.
Oh, excellent. So Scott, that leads into the perfect question, because I know your company works a lot on e-commerce. So do you think that e-commerce is mature, or do you think there's a lot more innovation to be coming?
A lot more. I mean, we haven't even started. And we've seen with the advent of mobility, just think about it for yourself. Think about the way that you interact with a retail store at the moment. Typically, I would say most of you are still going to a website. So you've got to make the act of actually sitting in front of your PC. You've got to go and pull information, then you've got to compare the 20,000 results you've just received from Amazon or whatever, wherever it is, to try and find that thing. So what we're seeing now is the major retailers recognizing the opportunity. Previously, there's not been that game. And the likes of Amazon have been in there and clearly dominated the market, done very, very well and will continue to do so. But I think now we're at the point at which their platforms that they developed maybe 15 or 20 years ago are now ready for redevelopment, replatforming, and we've got the opportunities of mobility as well. And they have a massive set of data available to them. So when we talk about personalization and big data, if you consider, putting together from all of the different channels and all of the different ways in which we interact with retailers, putting that together so we've got personalized information and the ability to deliver to us at the appropriate time, whether that's in the store, whether we pass the store, and picking up on things like, little things, simple stuff like, okay, so I took a look online in the store and I have some cart abandonment. I left my cart, I didn't purchase that thing, or I looked at something else, didn't purchase it. Well, what about if I actually walk into the store when I'm in the high street, I'm in the store, and then I start to get the push notifications or the reminders, the recommendations, the upsells. So this is really where e-commerce is going. And I think it's very important that we consider e-commerce is not just the channel by which they purchased, but it's the influence of technology over the high street sales as well.
That's a perfect lead-in. Let's talk about time to market, speed. Is that important, or do you want to spend time working on the perfect product, or is it more important now to get something to market?
Can I take that one?
Yeah.
Is it okay? Just real quick, and it's never quick with me, I'm sorry. Anyway, so
Sam.
briefly, shut up. About what Scott was saying, I think the customer's changing, right? I don't know how many got iOS 8 update. How many got iOS 8 update? Nobody? Okay. Updates come in very frequently, right? The data is changing because the user's expectation for how soon they can get features, how quickly they can get what they need. I just saw that Macy today was announcing that they're actually going to have same-day delivery, right? So Amazon is pushing the game on same-day delivery. Everybody's doing the same thing. The financial banks are actually doing, a lot of their work within a shorter and shorter time frame because the customers are expecting everything like this. They expect everything to be much more on their tempo, as I call it, on their time frame, on their speed, not so much waiting for the business to go through. So with that, innovation has to keep up. There's no chance that you can stay relevant if you cannot keep up. That's why when I mentioned about the automation part and DevOps and all that is not just to keep the engineers happy. Of course, that will keep me happier. But more importantly, is so that you reduce the friction to get your features to time to market, or I call it value to market. How soon can you get your value to the market? As quickly as possible, fail fast, and then come back and re-energize the whole team and bring it back in. That whole cycle that I talked about with that agile mentality to actually make sure that everything goes in very smoothly. Everything you do, it's about making this circle go as frictionless, as fast as possible, and inject the best people into it as possible. So
and I think that's a good point. I don't think it's just about technology, it's also about process as well. So we're seeing, the convergence here of different skill sets and practices within the organization. Most of the companies right now, they need to look at not only at the innovation on the application side and what they're going to do there, but what is the critical path to getting those things and those iterations, as Sam said, through to the public. There's a lot of infrastructure work that needs to be done, and I think the next 5 years is going to be very interesting on that.
I want to add, like on a previous presentation, internet has fastened out our pace of life. The mobile, the wearables, it's going faster and faster and faster, and everybody wants everything faster. And when the new product is going to be launched, we have this situation very often, like, okay, I want it in a month, and I want it to be like that. So there is a very important piece of work of defining the minimum viable product, MVP, and going to market with it than any more features. So it's a very important piece of work at the start of a project to actually get something to market and then enhance it.
Excellent, thank you. Evan, would you like to comment?
Yeah, I think everyone made good points. I mean, we're pushing, to our customers a continuous delivery model, which is, we're getting this thing out to production very early, almost even from the first weeks of the project. So, getting something all the way through the pipeline of development into the into the application servers and so forth. It's like a muscle, and you have to keep doing it to strengthen it. And so it's continuous delivery and expecting things faster is definitely the future. So.
Excellent. So we're starting to run out of time, so what I'd like to do is have everybody thank these guys, and then couple comments is, I have been to Ukraine 3 or 4 times now, and then every time I go, I've been impressed by the people that are there, the quality of work. You met Anna from Happy Farm. 2 years ago she said to me she wanted to start an incubator. And now she's produced 40 companies which have been top level. So that's one thing about Ukraine. They work fast and they work well. And one last thing I want to say about Ukraine is, besides great digital products, they make great vodka. Namarov. So, anyways, let's give all the speakers a